Oh, welcome, guys. We're here doing day 3 or session 3 of the Raise Your Game COVID-19 edition. And I've got a badass boss chick here with me, Lashawn Holland. I heard a rumor. I got 2 rumors for you today about Lashawn.
Okay.
First rumor is I heard that your nickname is the Queen of Green.
It absolutely is. My clients I didn't come up with that on my own. My client, actually, I have a client who would tag me years ago. She started tagging me online as the Queen of Green because she joined one of my programs and made 7 figures in 18 months. And so she just started calling me the Queen of Green, and then it picked up. I could be in the airport and out here, hey, Queen, and
I love it. I love it. So that's rumor number 1. You're the Queen of Green. So I'm gonna call you that now. That's gonna be my name for you. The second thing is you had a birthday.
I did. Yesterday I turned 49 years old. I'm so excited.
So I saw a couple of things. One, I told you this already. I was super jealous of the spread that was at your house. I was like, oh my gosh, and all the pretty, beautiful china and plates, and then you guys had a hoedown. I'm gonna call it a hoedown.
Yeah, my husband turned my one of the rooms. He thought he was a DJ, so he put up speakers from I forgot we even had them from when I go on tour, and he had a whole system. Music was blasting throughout the house. I'm like, what are we doing? And then my kids was like, come on, Mom, and we just started jamming for hours. We were dancing.
I love it. So here's what I'm gonna do because it's your birthday. I'm about to sing to you.
Aw.
It's not going to be that regular, oh, happy birthday, because you know how we have to do it. Here's my song. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. All right, that's enough.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Happy birthday. Thank you for being here. Listen, she's such a badass boss that she was going to do this live stream. She was going to be my guest yesterday. And I was like, no, I'll just teach tomorrow. She was going to be yesterday, and I was like, I'll just teach, and then we'll do you on Wednesday. So thank you for being here. I'm super excited to have this conversation. Before we dive in, we talked a little bit about you being the Queen of Green, but can you introduce them and just let them know who you are? Because I want them to know who they're learning from, because I don't just pick anybody to come in and speak to my community. I think it's important for them to know. So share a little bit about who you are, what you're doing in the world, so that they know who they're learning from.
Yeah, so again, as I was introduced, my name is LaShawne Holland. I'm the Queen of Green, and I really work with high achieving professionals to not just make money in the marketplace, but learn how to multiply their money. And so I help my clients really begin to take the money that they're making from their 7 and 8 figure businesses and then putting it in different asset classes. And so that's when money really becomes currency, and that's where you really get financial freedom. Many people don't understand. They think financial freedom is about you not having any credit card debt or debt at all. And that's simply not true. Wealth is measured in time and not money. It's how long I can go without having to trade time for dollars and still maintain my standard of living. And so that's really what I do. I teach people how to multiply their money.
I love it. So just as you're introducing yourself, I'm like, this is the reason why I wanted to bring you into my community, because the conversation that you're having is not an everyday, average, normal Joe, Judy, Jill, Jack, and Jane conversation.
It's not.
And I think it's important. You said something a few minutes ago. We were just talking behind the scenes, guys, and you were sharing how, everybody's out there. Most coaches are teaching people how to make money, but they're not really teaching people how to multiply money. And that statement that you just made about, true wealth is measured in time, meaning the time that you can go, how long can you go without having to actually create money or work for money? I think that's super, super powerful.
Yeah.
Can you just share some more insights into this difference between coaches who teach you how to make money and then coaches who are teaching you how to multiply, how to create wealth?
Yeah, it's really, everything starts with timing, right? And so we heard of the story. We grew up on the story, the Golden Goose. Are you familiar with that story?
Mhm.
Goose who laid the eggs. And so I drew something out here. Oftentimes we kill the golden goose. And so when you get into business and your business becomes profitable and you're starting to make money, most people just upgrade their lifestyles, right? They fall into what I call Parkinson's law, which says that your expenses rises to the level of your income. And so they may put a little bit of money away in a 401k, which by the way, I'm gonna circle back to that because that's not true investing. That's just a glorified checkbook register. And if we have any certified financial planners on here, they always get mad at me when I say that, but it's the truth. And so you may put money away in a retirement fund, but you really don't know how to set your family up. People talk about legacy, but they really don't understand what legacy is or what legacy wealth is. And so for us, like we own a real estate investment company also. And so, I own assets in every investment class. And so for me, our goal is to have, if I have 1,000 units and I have 3 children and I leave each one of my kids 300 units and my godchildren the remaining 100 units to split, that's cash flow through the generations. Can you imagine if you were born and into a family where you were getting cash flow every month from 300 units?
Mm.
1,000 units, that totally changes the game. And what happens when we become business owners only and we stop at being profitable only and we don't multiply our money, our kids come in and they're essentially starting from ground zero all over again. And that's not the goal. And so if you want to create legacy wealth in your life, you have to not only have a golden goose, but the golden goose that lays the eggs, you have to learn how to put those eggs to use so they can have more geese, right? They have
Right.
more little geese. That's where financial freedom comes in. And so for instance, during this past month with the whole entire coronavirus scare, my family's been making money. We've been really excited. More millionaires and billionaires are made during this time for people who really know how to position themselves in the market. When the market goes down, money is never, ever, ever lost in the market. It just simply changes hands. So for instance, when probably about 3 weeks ago, when the virus first really started making headlines, we sat down, we meaning my family, and we looked at the different industries that it was going to hit. So we knew it was going to hit the airline industry. So what do? We went and we're also option traders, and we placed puts. And to give you a little bit of understanding, when you have a particular stock that you want to buy contracts on as an options trader, a call is like if I pick up the phone, that means I'm placing a contract when the stock is going up. If I know the stock is going to drop, then it's called a put. Think of it like a call, you pick the phone up, a put, you put the telephone down. And so we just begin to place puts on the companies that we knew were going to be affected the most by the industries, which means your oil companies, your hospitality companies like hotels, the airline industry like American Airlines were very good to us when their stock dropped. And so, when times like this happen from the Great Depression on, the market always resets itself and people don't understand that. And so there's a reset that actually comes about every 10 years, give or take a few. And so you had the .com. I mean, you can even go back to the tulip craze. It's being able to spot opportunities when they come and then invest accordingly.
I love that. So there's a couple of things I want to circle back around to, but let's start with this. Right now, people are panicking because their 401ks, which you said you wanted to circle back around to, the stock market is declining. And so people are having heart palpitations, especially the closer they are to what they believe should be their retirement. And this whole conversation we're having today is about how to multiply your money right now. So what should we be looking at? What's really going on? Should we be listening to what the media is saying? Should we be watching the stock market?
I think absolutely. But again, people have to put things in correct perspective. Most of the people that are on television, the news media, they're employees, they're E's on the quadrant. So they're not investors. They're just reading from, a teleprompter. And so I listen to the news for clues and signs. If I know, for instance, last week, one of the things we did when the president did a news conference, he dropped the name of a company that was working on the virus. Well, that was a clue for me. I mean, most people watch the news and just sit there and listen. We listen for clues of what's going on. So immediately, guess what we did? You go in, you put a position, and so you're able to make money. We're not trained how to listen to the news from the eyes of an investor or the eyes of a business owner to look for opportunities. And a lot of times people who start out at the bottom, they don't raise their heads high enough to be able to see opportunities. And we're not programmed to be able to see them. We sent our clients an email a couple of weeks ago saying when the stock market had the largest drop that it had ever had in history, we were able to send our clients, an email saying you can be rest assured you haven't lost one brown penny. So in times like this, the first thing, if you do have a 401k or a 403b plan, the first thing that you should do is understand that you need to stop the bleeding. And so a lot of times people will leave a job and they'll still have their 401k and they just, leave their money there. Well, now is the time you stop the bleeding, you move it into an annuity. And so you may not be making 15, 20% interest off your money, but your principal is always protected and you're not losing money. Mm-hmm. And we have to learn how to stop the hemorrhaging, stop the bleeding. That's the first thing. If, I don't know how many of your entrepreneurs on here actually work for themselves versus, they're still working on a full-time job and doing their business. But if you are and you do have a 401k, there are ways that you can still stop the bleeding. We're coming up on the end of a commodities market. So you can protect your money by moving into things that are more conservative. Most people do not look at their 401ks. They can't tell you what mutual funds their 401ks are invested in. Right. And so the money moves in cycles. Everything is in a cycle. A woman has her monthly cycle. The moon moves in a cycle. The earth moves in a cycle. Farmers have cycles of where they plant and they harvest. And so everything moves in a cycle, but also asset classes move in a cycle also. You have the real estate market, which is like an 18-year cycle. And so, for instance, in 2008, when the real estate market crashed, that was the beginning. Everything, it was in a bubble. And you hear people talk about, the real estate bubble. When the bubble burst, they don't reinflate. That was the time starting an 18-year cycle where, depending on where you got in on the real estate market, you can ride it up. Most people who were in trouble during that real estate crash got in at the top of the bubble and not at the beginning. Whereas wealthy people understand cycles, so they get in on the bottom level of bubbles.
So can I slow you down just for a second? Because,
Sure.
I got probably some newbies in here. So I just wrote down real estate as a class. So you've been talking about classes and you were talking about cycles. So classes of investing. And I think this is important for people to understand, because one of the things I hear you say often, and I think about this, is I don't just want to make enough money to pay my bills. I don't want to just make enough money to travel and buy lubricants. I want to create generational wealth. And I think understanding all the classes of investing, we might not go through all of them, but what are the major ones, is the place where you start, where you realize that profit that you're making in your business, you want to be putting it in places. Because I believe that story you told earlier about leaving those income producing properties to your family, people don't even think about it that way, right?
Yeah. Okay, and so when you look at the different asset classes, you have what's called paper assets, which is your stocks and your bonds, which has a cycle in and of itself. You have the bond market is like a 30-year cycle, and that bubble burst, so you don't want to fool with that right now. Real estate is an asset class, which has an 18-year cycle. Cryptocurrency is a fairly new. You hear last year, everybody was going on the Bitcoin craze. And I was like, stay away from Bitcoin. If you wanted to get into Bitcoin, you either invest in blockchain technology or you stay away from it. The time to do it was 9 years prior to the craze. Remind me to circle back about irrational exuberance, because I want to explain that. That's very, very important. And I want your community to know about it. But commodities is an asset class. And so ending the commodities cycle, but it's about a 15-year cycle, right? Commodities are your gold, your silver. Commodities are oil, gas, anything that comes from the earth, right? Is what commodities are. Corn, wheat, you can make a tremendous amount of money from investing in commodities. And so those basically are your primary asset classes.
Perfect. All right. I just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page as we are.
Yeah.
So you made a statement earlier that in most of the downturns, the economic downturns, that's when most of the most millionaires and billionaires were made, which means out of this, there are going to become some too.
Oh, most definitely.
Why is that? What are they doing that most average people are not doing?
Well, one, people don't create the space, right, or time in their lives to be educated about this. And so they are taking financial advice from people that are on the E side of the cash flow quadrant.
Which, by the way, that's Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, if you don't know, guys. Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. And so they're taking financial advice from people, on the east side of the quadrant. And so that's the first thing. Most financial planners don't study cycles and bubbles. You have people, Warren Buffett, Paul Tudor Jones, Carlos Slim Heilu. When you start looking at the world's billionaires in the market, I actually started following years ago. It's an app called iBillionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And with this app, you start to see the money movement, because there are conferences that I go to that you have to have a certain net worth even just to register for. And so the information that billionaires and millionaires get on investing is not what your normal retail investor gets. Those are the people that want to invest in mutual funds. And, sometimes I have to catch myself because I even forget that mutual funds is an investment. Like, no one makes money off of that.
Right.
It's taking the time out to learn about the cycles and bubbles. So when opportunities come, you're able to take advantage of the opportunities. That's why having surpluses in your business is so important. And so when you look back to the 2008 real estate crash and you go to the app iBillionaire, they weren't investing in real estate. That's all you heard of. Everybody and their mama was investing in real estate. And so this is a good point to lead in with irrational exuberance. That is when you go, everybody that you know in your circle is talking about getting in on something. So everybody was talking about, even the barbershops and the hairstylists was talking about real estate. When the common person is talking about a particular investment, all money that is going to be made has already been made. It's too late. The bubble is getting ready to pop. And that's irrational exuberance. Same thing, cryptocurrency. Last year, everybody was talking about Bitcoin. I was like, look, do not put your money in Bitcoin. I had people that got very angry with me. Even Christians, they told me that this was the wealth transfer and I was trying to stop people from doing it. They lost all their money. And so you have to get in the right cycle at the right time. And so that's why it's important for you to study and to learn, about different cycles and bubbles so you can invest in accordingly.
Tell me what it's called again. Irrational
exuberance. And that's just simply what everybody is talking about it. When the shoe shine boy is talking about it, when everybody starts to talk about it, all the money that's going to be made has already been made. Stay away from it. Don't do it.
I love it. I just want to put this up so people can Google it, research it. Yes. Of course, we're going to give them some ways to follow you so that they can start to learn more about this stuff. But I think it's so important. So right now, for those of us who do have a surplus, what are some of the things we could be doing? Because there are people who have a surplus right now. And then there are those who are like, oh my gosh, I don't have anything. And that was me back in 2008. I had a little small something. It wasn't a huge surplus. And I ate through that really, really fast. So if you do have a surplus,
there are certain things that I think are very foundational. Especially when it comes to your financial future. So it's making sure that you have, the right foundation of investing would be, what retirement plans do you have? I am a fan of doing permanent policies called IULs, Index Universal Life, where it acts as using insurance as an investment also. And annuities protect your money in down markets. So that's very important for you to put your money in. But again, also buying gold and silver. I started my community buying gold and silver, American Eagle gold and silver coins years ago. Matter of fact, I was just posting all this morning about the movement in the gold market, because when the dollar does bad, then gold typically is inverse of the dollar. And so, you know, what signs, you know, you'll learn when you start studying cycles and bubbles, you'll start to know, okay, now I see on television, they're saying that the dollar bill is weak compared to European, you know, the euro. And in my mind, if that happens, I'm thinking, okay, today is a great day for me to go in and buy more gold or buy more silver or buy precious metals, period, because I understand that right now is a good time for me to go in and get it. And so it's for those things, gold and silver is always great. Whether it is, I buy a lot of the physical, but I also buy silver and gold ETFs. And so the symbols for them is GDX. You can go on E-Trade, you know, and get these, or any one of the other investment platforms that you can open up personal individual accounts. But it's GDX, GDXJ, and SLV. Are some of the things that you can actually get right now. And the reason that gold and silver becomes foundational and very important is because our money now is what's called fiat money, meaning it has zero intrinsic value, right? It's not worth the paper that it's printed on. And so gold and silver is really the only true money. And a lot of states, even in the US, a lot of states now are passing laws to be able to approve to use gold and silver for spending, for commerce. And so in 1971, we were taken off of the gold standard, which is when our money really did lose value. And so in the audio series that I'm going to share with your community that really breaks down cycles and bubbles, I do a teaching where I show them how, you know, America is the world's reserve. And so they often say, okay, because our dollar has been so strong for so long, there's a shift that's coming in. I don't know if you saw my live the other night where the word crisis, the root Latin word for crisis, just simply means change. And so when everybody's talking about the coronavirus crisis, to me, it just means a change, a shift, an opportunity. And so these are the places that we could be putting our money.
I love it. So I'm going to open up, like, if anybody has questions for LaShawne, things that are coming up, go ahead and ask now, because we're getting ready to start winding down. I want you guys to know that LaShawne is coming to Game On Live to speak, because I want to be one of those places where my community is not just creating money and cash flow, but creating wealth and leaving a legacy of generational wealth. It's not enough for me to just be able to buy a pair of Louboutins and travel the world and do whatever I want to do. I want that for I want my kids, like you said, to be born into a family where they're already starting off with cash flow. And the only way to do that is to know about things like iBillionaire and things that we don't even talk about.
You just have to really train your brain. It's so important that we, like, whenever we do go on vacation or I travel internationally, one of the first things that I do is find out what precious metals or stones are in that area. I don't go on vacation and buy stupid t-shirts. I'm on vacations and I'm buying the stones. I'm buying things that appreciate. So it's really changing and then creating the vehicles. I always say, let your assets pay for your luxuries, right? You know, I'm not saying don't buy the Jimmy Choos or whatever. What I am saying is create an asset that's going to pay for that, because that goose keeps laying eggs. That's what we want to live off of. We don't want to live off the goose. We want to live off the eggs and then allow the eggs to have geese. That's what we want to live off of.
I'm going to write this down really quick. Create an asset that buys the thing.
Yes. Oftentimes, one of the mistakes that we make is we try to live that life off of earned income. And create passive income, create portfolio income that pays for the luxuries. So for every house, last year we did like 9 different vacations. It was the most vacations I've ever taken at one time, but and they were really, really nice vacations, but I had an asset that paid for it. And if it's something new that I want to say, okay, what new asset will pay for this?
That's awesome. That's an awesome way to think that I've never been introduced to until this very moment. And I would venture to think that most people inside of this community, same thing. And so I thank you for helping us to shift the conversation, because right now the conversation is doom and gloom. Another recession is coming. Maybe the Great Depression is coming again. I've even seen jokes like, you guys asked for the Roaring '20s again. That's when the Great Depression was. Here it is.
Actually, the market is going to crash, and it's going to be a bigger crash than 1929.
Yes.
And one of the reasons is we have so many different bubbles that are peak right now in the market, and the dollar bill is one of them. And so there's so much going on behind the scenes. It's being able to really position yourself. Oil is at the center of it. And so these are things that we want to start looking at to invest during wartime. If you go to war, there are certain investments in wartime. What are some of the things that they use during wartime? They're going to need steel. So you start investing in companies that produce and manufacture steel.
Right.
Things like rubber and ammunition and defense. And so it's really training your eye, depending on the cycle and where we are in the economy, training your eye to see those different opportunities. And so, yes, the stock market is going to crash. It resets itself. It's nothing new. It's not. Well, I say it's nothing to be fearful of if you're on the right side. And so, but you just have to plan to be able to get in position. And so it's now, picking up the right book or getting in the right program. I have a program that's actually called Get Some, some meaning stock options made easy, that I'm really excited. My son actually teaches. My kids grew up in a household where, at dinner time every day, we talk about business, investing of some sort. That's our conversation. It literally is how we live in this household. And so you're able to see the opportunities because it's out there. And when you're making money in business, literally money is called currency for a reason. It has to keep moving. There should always be a flow to it. And really the mission of money is to grow. The money that's in your hands now, it wants to be able to grow and bring you more money. And so we just need to position it to be able to do that.
I love it. Doesn't look like there's any questions. So can you talk about what you're going to give them? Guys, I want you to listen in because she's actually pulling a module out of her course to gift to us for this community so that we can begin to understand this conversation better.
Yeah. And so I have one of my masterminds, because it's very important that no matter what program I put people in, is that they eventually end up on the right side of the quadrant and become investors. And so I teach a module on bringing it down so people can really understand when I talk about cycles and bubbles, what does that mean? Where did it come from? Where are things that we should be having our money in? Where are the bubbles forming right now so you can get in? And so I broke it down inside of a module, and that's what I'm actually going to be gifting to your community so they have some understanding. And now you can start retraining your brain. When you listen to the news and you hear certain things, it triggers and says, oh, okay, I get where we are with this. If you hear about a country that's in negative interest rates, what does that mean for you? How is it going to affect your money? And then what opportunities do you have? Because there are plenty of investment opportunities overseas for us right now too. And so really being able to spot those things. I just believe in you taking control of your financial ship, right? And not depending on somebody else that's in the E quadrant, that's sitting behind a desk, that's really trained to be a salesperson.
Right.
I think it's important that we take back our own control of our money to be able to put it to work for us in the market.
I love it. So I'm excited about that gift. She's going to send it to me and I'm going to upload it inside of the group, inside of the unit section. So if you want that group gift and you want to be notified, make sure you commented on this video, because I'll probably come in and type in that it's now uploaded. Plus I'll upload it in units and you'll get a notification. If you haven't commented on this video, you won't get a notification. I'm not going to give you what to comment. If you want it, just make sure you comment. So LaShawne, do you have any last words, words of wisdom? What would you like to leave people with as we wrap this up?
Just stay out of fear during this time. You know, it's really important. A lot of times, you know, I talk to people every day and they're getting in fear and overwhelmed. And it's just such a beautiful time of opportunity on so many different levels. Not, you know, my husband always says when resources are low, become resourceful. And so I think it's so many different opportunities that we have to become resourceful right now, whether it's doing collaborations with your fellow entrepreneurs, you know, who are in like-minded industries. There are just so many different ways right now that you can actually make money. And I am a believer that everybody has what I call tags, talents, abilities, and gifts. And so you may be operating in one part of your business, but there are so many different areas based off of that one part that you can grow into. And so it's really creating the space. I learned this from a billionaire several years ago. We went to lunch and he asked me, how much time do you spend thinking? And I was like, none. And, you know, he began to teach me the art of being still and thinking, like one day a week he takes out and he does nothing for that one day, but just sit and he thinks, and he begins to get downloads, and, you know, he's able to get clarity on so much that's going on. And so it's one of the things that I've implemented in my life, is being able to get quiet and not follow the herd. So when everybody is talking about doom and gloom, you know, I've really tried to train my eye to be able to see opportunities, and the opportunities are here for us, you know, to do it. And so really don't, you know, it takes the same amount of energy to use your faith as it does to doubt. And so why not use it for something that can produce, something that can multiply? So stay out of fear, stay out of overwhelm, you know, and just allow yourself to be resourceful during this time.
I love it. Thank you so much. Here's the thing. I said I love it, but I love you. From the moment that I met you, I was like, oh my gosh, this is phenomenal, amazing. She smells like money, y'all.
Yeah, people tell me that all the time. They tell me that all. I'm like, what are y'all sniffing? I do just happen to like really expensive perfume. People say that all the time.
But I thank you so much for taking time out of your life and your day to be here with us. People are blown away. I can see them in the comment section, because the small little nuggets that you've dropped in just the 30 minutes that we've been together, these are conversations they've never been introduced to. Yeah. And so your mission of changing this conversation in the world is continuing on even right here. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that I'm honored to be here. And so anytime you want to continue the conversation, just let me know.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. So guys, that's a wrap for today. We're going to wrap this up. I'll make sure you guys get LaShawne's gift. Again, LaShawne, thank you so much for being here. Tomorrow, I'm bringing in another one of my good friends who's a relationship expert. And she might be like a counselor or something like that too. I can't remember right now, but she is a relationship expert. And Deborah Roberts is going to talk to you about communicating with family, friends, prospects, and clients right now. How do you still keep your wits about you, be sensitive? What kind of language should you be using as you communicate so that you can strengthen those bonds with those people? And I think it's really, really important because there's so many people that are me focus, I focus right now. We could tell by the toilet paper thing, right? That we forget we're all in this together. We're all in this together. So keep your eyes out for all your notifications for Deborah tomorrow. LaShawne, again, thank you so, so much. You're amazing and incredible, and I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Right. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you so much for watching my show, my channel.
Here's what I want you to do. If you really love what you've been listening to, I want you to subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. No, really, leave a comment, like right now. I'm not gonna stop talking until you leave a comment. Seriously, leave a comment.